Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something literally every single one of us struggles with: consistency. We constantly hear that consistency is the magic key to mastering a skill, breaking a bad habit, or just achieving any level of greatness. But if we're being completely honest with ourselves, the actual process of staying consistent, it's incredibly tough. It's really not glamorous at all. In fact, the unglamorous truth about building long-term discipline is something very few people actually want to talk about. We get hyped up, we start strong, and then we lose motivation, our discipline fades, and we give up. But today, we're going to break down a highly practical, rule-based method from our source material to fix this problem once and for all. Okay, let's jump right in by looking at how even legendary champions absolutely despise the daily grind. Take the great Muhammad Ali. We look at a legend like him and just naturally assume he must have loved every single second of his journey, right? But he famously admitted that he hated every minute of his training. The difference wasn't that he had some endless passion for the daily grind, it was entirely his mindset. He endured the immense friction of daily practice because he knew that mastery demands consistency, completely regardless of how you happen to feel in the moment. So, this really begs the question, if we know the power of good daily habits, and we know that even the absolute greats struggled with the grind, why do we fail at consistency? Why do we know exactly what we need to do to hit our goals but still fail to take action day after day? Well, the source breaks us down into 5 core mistakes we make and gives us 5 highly actionable rules to rewire our whole approach. Let's look at the first major hurdle.
Rule number 1 is absolutely crucial. Set short-term targets. You see, our absolute biggest mistake right out of the gate when trying to build a new habit is totally messing up our timeline. Whenever we decide to get consistent, let's say we want to start waking up early, we usually make this grand, sweeping declaration. We tell ourselves, okay, that's it. From now on, I am going to wake up early every single day for the rest of my life. We literally try to rewrite our entire life story in one sentence. And while you might have a ton of enthusiasm on day one, that lifetime timeline is a massive trap.
When you contrast a lifetime goal with a one-week goal, the problem becomes super obvious. As the days pass, that huge initial spike of motivation inevitably drops. Suddenly committing to something for a lifetime feels impossible, overwhelming, and frankly, completely unrealistic. Your brain just rebels against that massive commitment. So, instead of a lifetime, give yourself a one-week goal. Tell yourself, you know what, I'm just going to wake up early for the next 7 days. After that, I'll figure it out. 7 days is highly actionable, it's realistic. You pour all your focus into just mastering today and the next few days, which drastically increases your chances of actually succeeding. That brings us to rule number 2, which completely flips a common toxic belief right on its head. Action creates motivation. Most of us are just sitting around waiting to feel motivated before we start working. We think, oh, if I just watch one more video or read one more inspiring quote, I'll finally feel motivated enough to take action. We are essentially holding our own goals hostage to our fleeting moods. But the reality? Motivation does not cause action. It's actually the exact opposite. Psychologists actually refer to this as the do-something principle. World-renowned psychologists and self-improvement experts all agree on this one thing. If you're a procrastinator, waiting for motivation is going to ruin your progress. Taking action, even the smallest, most ridiculous-sounding insignificant action, is the actual starting engine. Taking action creates momentum, and that momentum is what generates the motivation you need to keep going. Let's look at how to put this into practice using the 2-minute rule. If you absolutely dread the idea of sitting down to study or work for an hour, well, don't focus on the hour. Just tell yourself you'll do it for exactly 2 minutes. Force 2 minutes of action. Get up, sit at your desk, open the laptop. Once you overcome that initial heavy friction of just starting, momentum naturally takes over. That tiny 2-minute step triggers motivation, and almost like magic, those 2 minutes easily turn into 30 minutes or more. It's a real game changer. All right, rule number 3 tackles the classic trap of trying to fix your entire life overnight. We have all been there. New Year's Eve rolls around, or maybe you just get a random burst of inspiration on a Sunday night and you decide you're going to completely reinvent yourself by Monday morning. We write out this incredibly overwhelming list, right? We say, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m., completely cut out screen time, hit the gym for an hour, read 50 pages, and eat an absolutely flawless diet. We try to implement 10 massive life changes at the exact same time. But trying to change all these things at once essentially guarantees failure across the board. Your brain simply cannot handle that much sudden disruption. So what happens? You end up failing at all of them, which completely crushes your confidence. So, the single most crucial number you need to remember here is 1. Just 1. You absolutely must dedicate 100% of your focus and energy to mastering just a single habit before you even think about moving on to anything else. If your primary goal is to study consistently, then ignore the diet and ignore the extreme wake-up times for now. Put all of your willpower into that single study habit. Only once it becomes second nature, once you've truly mastered it, do you earn the right to add a second habit to your list. Which naturally leads us to rule number 4, mind over heart. Anyone who has achieved anything great in life has had to learn how to balance their logic with their emotions. Now, your heart might hold your big, beautiful life ambitions, but let me tell you, it is a terrible guide for daily execution. Doing the hard, repetitive, exhausting work required for consistency is not something your emotional heart will ever want to do. When it comes down to taking daily action, you really need to rely on a highly logical, practical approach. In fact, execution requires you to listen to your logical mind about 97% of the time. Your heart is constantly going to beg you to take it easy. It'll whisper, "You're tired today, just skip it, you deserve a break." The 99% of people who listen to that emotional plea, they stay mediocre. Top performers ignore the heart in those weak moments and listen to the logical mind, which bluntly says, get up and do the work, because it's necessary to hit the goal. And finally, we arrive at rule number 5, which delivers perhaps the hardest, but absolutely most necessary truth about success. You have to embrace the boring. We love to romanticize success, don't we? We imagine it as this constantly motivating, thrilling movie montage of hard work. But the reality? Doing the exact same thing day in and day out for months and years becomes incredibly mundane. Cricket legend Virat Kohli summarized this stark reality perfectly. After an insane performance where he scored 109 runs in just 55 balls, someone asked him about his process. His answer was totally blunt. He said it's just eat, sleep, train, repeat. He openly admitted that consistency is very boring, but he followed it up by saying that this exact boring habit is what made him the captain of the Indian national team. Top performers don't have some magical cure for boredom. They simply learn to accept it as the toll they must pay for greatness. There's a great analogy here to prove this point. Think about basic human nature. Even if you were given your absolute favorite indulgences, like, say, chocolate, biryani, or pizza, and you were forced to eat them 3 times a day every single day for months, you would eventually hate them. Even the best things get old through sheer repetition. So naturally, hard, tiring habits like studying or training are going to feel boring very quickly. You have to anticipate this boredom so you don't let it derail you when it inevitably shows up. So, what does this all mean for us? We're left with a choice. Knowing that motivation is fleeting, knowing that you should only ever build one habit at a time, and knowing that the path to greatness is fundamentally unglamorous, I have a final challenge for you. Stop waiting for the excitement. Stop waiting for the perfect mood to strike. Will you embrace the boring today and take that simple 2-minute action step, or will you stay exactly where you are? The choice, as always, is entirely yours. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time as we continue to break down the ideas that matter.